Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about the stink of Sweet Baby Inc. costing another game, costing another studio. Studio's apparently going to shut down. It's not looking very good for them. And yeah, this is part of that big pivot we've been talking about, that DEI and quote-unquote wokeness in video games being roundly rejected by consumers. And pretty soon, I think a lot of these companies will just stop using the services of companies like Sweet Baby Inc. It's not fashionable anymore. So let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You will get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo.
Go out to clownfishminds.com, help support the reef, buy some merchandise, check out our Plus Club. You can also join here on YouTube and locals as well. So we're going to do a follow-up on this game called Unknown 9, which apparently nobody played. This is another Sweet Baby Inc. Consulted game that only had 285 players at its peak.
Ooh.
On
yes,
Steam.
But don't you know, it's just the handful of YouTubers that caused the downfall and not the general audience.
And this was actually starring what's-her-face from The Witcher, Yennefer.
Oh.
And it actually does kind of look like her. But nobody played this game. Nobody bought this game. And again, this is Bandai Namco, which is a pretty sizable company. And they went all in on the DEI and the wokeness, because they have been lately, unfortunately, which is so weird. I mean, just make Pac-Man. That's all you have to do. Make Pac-Man. Don't call it Pac-Them. But
no, but they did Ms. Pac-Man, so...
Though there's a whole story behind Ms. Pac-Man, the licensing drama. But yes, they do acknowledge the existence of Ms. Pac-Man now, even though it was American. Did you know that Ms. Pac-Man was American? It was actually
it would be.
It was a
I
mod.
like Ms. Pac-Man, but yeah.
Yeah, everybody likes it. That's why. So yeah, this game was such a failure that apparently they're gonna torch the studio. They said this is coming from PC Gamer. Action-adventure game Unknown 9 Awakening was such a failure, says the developer, which has canceled a follow-up project and laid off the staff. Ouch. Reflector Entertainment has announced the cancellation of an in-development project and another round of layoffs following the failure of its debut game, Unknown 9 Awakening. 285 players, concurrent peak on Steam. Another example, like how many damn examples do we need of these DEI-infused games? And this one should have been a bigger hit because it's got the gal from The Witcher, right? Well, they ran The Witcher into the ground too, so who gives a shit? The studio CEO said he halted work on the project, which was in the conceptualization phase, as continuing development would not have been sustainable for the future of the studio.
We're going to go bankrupt if we keep working on this shit.
If we keep putting shit like this out, we're going to go broke. If we go woke, we're going to go broke. You can say it now. It's okay to say it now. It's 2025, but this is the truth. I don't like
it, but yeah.
It's the truth.
It is.
Gamers are rejecting these games. They're rejecting them.
Again, I want to point out, we're talking like globally. That's how many players they had. So you can't say all white straight men screaming on the internet because people with really tiny channels have more viewers than 200 and some. People just didn't want to play it.
This decision correlates directly with the failure of the studio's ambitious and courageous first project, Unknown 9 Awakening, a new IP with a rich transmedia universe. So they were like, I mean, you want to talk about putting the cart before the horse. They apparently had like comics and all kinds of stuff planned for this game. 285 people. The performance of the release didn't come near the company expectations. Neither did so many other games, including Dragon Age the Veilguard and Suicide Squad, and the list goes on and on and on. And they do have a common thread. Actually, a lot of these games, Sweet Baby Inc. consulted on. They said this is what the modern audience wants. So if I were a game studio and Sweet Baby Inc. came to me and said, this is what the modern audience wants, I would literally do the exact opposite of that because they're going to lead you to bankruptcy and ruin.
That's just it, though. I think that's part of the problem is, at this point in time, as soon as people hear that they're involved in it, even if it might be a good game, as soon as they hear they're involved in it, it automatically tanks.
Yeah.
Because there's such a track record associated with them.
He said, yeah, that's just it. And the track record is the game is going to be shit, most likely, and it's going to be ham-fisted ideology that you're paying for. And nobody, I mean, you broke freaking Arkham, right? Like you broke what the hell? Unfortunately, this also affects back office staff. He said, bringing the support teams in line with the single project approach the studio will adopt for the imminent future, where possible staff will be assigned to the project based on an existing Bandai Namco IP. Oh my God. They're going to make Ms. Pac-Man a transmedia experience, which is shaping up very well.
Some people argued it was then.
Yeah, well, it basically was just Pac-Man minus the Mister, right? Reflector previously announced layoffs in November of 2024. So they laid people off before, just a month after the release of the game, but said at the time the cuts weren't driven by commercial success or external pressure. Bullshit. They laid people off because they're like, oh my God, we only sold, triple digit number, like not triple digit, like hundreds of thousands, but they probably sold like possibly thousands of copies of this game. Maybe. And it had a 49% positive user review, and peak concurrent player count via Steam was 285.
That's bad.
Not 1,000, not 2,850, but 285.
Well, they said it was also released on consoles, but that doesn't mean it sold.
Nobody cares. But yeah, Bandai bought the studio in 2020. They're going to continue investing in creating Western content for global audiences. Well, you need to spend your money someplace else.
Yeah, don't hire Sweet Baby Inc.
Don't hire any. Yeah, and the thing is, I think a lot of these overseas companies especially are like, well, we don't know what Americans want. Hey, they're Western. I think they're Canadian Western consulting firm. You tell us what the Western audience wants, because we want to be culturally sensitive. And they're telling them a bunch of lies. They're telling them a bunch of bullshit. They're telling them what they would like to see, and their 10 friends in Portland would like to see.
What they want is basically what you do already, just brought over here in common sense.
Pretty much, like, hey, yeah, and we're starting to see that. What is going on is we're seeing these AAA Western developed titles implode, but we're seeing stuff like Pal World and like Stellar Blade and Helldivers.
I was thinking Stellar Blade, yeah.
And they're just giving gamers what they want. I mean, people were complaining. They're complaining about some of these games looking like they came from 2005. I'm like, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? There's absolutely nothing wrong with the game looking like it came from 2005, because that was when, a lot of people considered kind of the peak of gaming would be the 90s and the 2000s, and then everything started falling off.
Well, back to the common sense thing. Common sense is free. You don't have to pay a consultant for that. It's free.
Just be like, do you like this game? Would you play this game? Hey, Bandai Namco, you've made some of the greatest video game franchises in history. I don't know what the hell you're doing now, but historically you made some really good stuff. Do your people at Bandai like this game? Would they play it? Would they pay money for it? And if the answer is no, then guess what? The Western audiences won't either.
No, it's really not.
It's really not that hard, right? Do you like it? Because a good game should be universal. It should cross cultural boundaries. It should cross the limitations of time. Pac-Man is still a good game in 2025 like it was in 1980. So, you know what I'm saying? It's like, this whole thing is just so damn dumb, and good for them that they are shutting it down.
So they're shutting the whole thing down, or they just laid people off?
They're laying a bunch of people off, but they're like, we had another project, we're not doing it now.
So they're shutting down the second project, but they're still staying in business. So they're just going to probably switch into something else. Yeah, they're pushing people over to Bandai Namco to work on some existing IP. Okay, yeah, it's not good. But this is, again, and how many more games like this are we going to see in the next year or two that companies like Sweet Baby Inc. sold these people on? Because it takes years for these games to come out. It takes 5, 6, 7, 8 years for these games to come out. So we're going to see DEI-infused fever dreams get released and get massive pushback for the next probably 2 years at least, until we finally have course corrected. That's my prediction anyway. And we're going to see it in Hollywood too to some extent, but games definitely, because it takes so damn long. We're going to wrap it up. Yep. Let's wrap it up. All right. So please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We will talk later. Bye.